What?
Nobody would guess I am compliant.
No, piss off.
No, I don't guess.
So this is very recent. So all this has been very recent. I did this very recent. Last week? Last week, yeah. So I said that what company goals is my goals. Now I'm saying now, yeah. I follow procedures now, yeah. Follow procedures and listening through Eugene and William what they're saying. So mostly William, because I work very closely with William. He taught me everything, I guess. That's why I'm doing well in my art as well. So I'm halfway through my art now. So straight away, I actually thought about it. I'm actually going to do another qualification straight after. So my strengths are getting objectives completed quickly, meaning that maintenance. Come on, think about it. Like I think it's in September till December. What, 2 or 3 months now?
Yeah.
Come on, it was about 98.
It was
98 maintenance. I got it to 48 now. I got it to 48.
Well done.
So that's about 50 tasks.
And closed a lot of the other stages
Yeah,
as well.
close it. Yeah. And then work ethic. As you know, I actually work over after 6 o'clock. I work. Yeah, you can find me in messages.
And uncivilized times.
Yeah, uncivilized time. I tried to call William, but he said he's with Joe and the kids.
You're trying to call me at like 12 o'clock in the
Yeah.
night.
Well, I had a text message from a tenant, right, and he was like, yeah, Frankie texted me at 12 o'clock at night. I'm like, no, that's just Frankie, don't worry about him, it's alright.
Because that's a great advantage for us, because usually all these agents, they only work until 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Tenants are very surprised can find me at those times, so that's a great advantage for me and the company. I'm hardworking, do things I'm prioritizing the correct way now. Before, in my first year in the company, it was such a mess. I think the first year was my worst year of working, because I didn't follow procedures. I tried to do my own way.
In all fairness, you didn't know the procedure.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And we didn't have very good people
Yeah.
sometimes as well.
Yeah.
We've got them better.
Yeah. My 3 improvements, this is very true by the way, attention to details. I think I lack in that, because in Hangout chat, there's too many messages to see. So what I'm doing is following what AJ is doing, reading streak, reading the correspondence of emails, and also WhatsApp, because now, and WeChat as well, because now WeChat has been very important in my development and my task now, because that's where most of our clients are then. So what is it? Because the Chinese, I need to read it properly, because you don't want to misinterpret and talk in an informal way to clients, because everyone has their different personalities, especially the Chinese clients. Yeah. There was a client in Kibrook, one client in Kibrook. They always say, "Oh, mine is the best. Like, look at my chair. It's like luxury." I want to get the highest rent as possible. So you need to adapt to their communication, how you can communicate with them.
Yes, you got the best chair. They all look the same, but you've got the best one.
Yeah. Second is
they all the same furniture pack.
Yeah.
And you think
They're all the same.
It's unbelievable.
£20 a week extra for that.
Yeah, exactly. Second is willing to help more with colleagues. Now I'm doing with maintenance. Because before there was some confrontation with me, Shannon, and AJ. In my knowledge, just my assumption that they don't do as much or don't follow all this. But when I stepped into maintenance, I realized how much AJ has to do, had to follow those steps, because I noticed that we had to wait for developers, owners, engineers and contractors. So I really appreciate and honor what AJ has done in the past, because he has done quite a lot in maintenance. and his knowledge and his way of writing emails is very professional, and that's what I'm trying to follow. And he sets a good example. So the third one is definitely communication. Slowly getting at it. Like I think yesterday, and I want to apologize as well. I call when I'm in Kidbrook, I call AJ and Shannon phoning, because I think in text you kind of do a lot of misinterpretation, isn't it?
No, I think calls are fine.
Yeah, calls. I'm always want to be quite quick in communication, so calling is my best way. That's why I call you, William, AJ, and Eugene quite a lot. If I want to get answers.
You should.
Yeah, we appreciate that. That's good. Yeah, do that.
So this is my personal goals. So director is like to be the same as what William is now. Yeah. But the second one, partner with Shani, is.
That's peculiar.
Well, partner with Shani is because she has. Okay, fair enough.
Interesting choice of words
okay,
there.
relationship. Okay, relationship. But she's in Mary, so I have to visit her sometimes. I have to use my holidays to.
Charlene's one of our colleagues in Malaysia. Yeah.
She's like a camp colleague.
But also, she helps me with my Mandarin. I'm improving my Mandarin quite a lot now because of her. And she's also a degree in real estate, so all her knowledge is passed on to me. And that's very good for me to gain more knowledge. And purchase my first property, my house. So as you know, company goals is very important to me because an example of company goals, where company goals, because you know that I care about the company as well. Eugene, William knows I care about the company. Example would be when we had the meeting with the giraffe thing about cost. Like I want to save cost as well. Like it's too crazy to do every single apartment. That's one example. I really care about that. First goal is to gain more, gain about 100 positive reviews, so Trustpilot. I think that's very achievable in 2019. I think we can surpass that actually, because the more we get, the higher our ratings is, and the ranking of our company will go towards the top 10.
Pay for fake reviews.
Yeah, exactly. That's where Maria can come in.
I spoke to Ellie today.
So the second goal.
Oh, really?
Is as a company manage more than 250 properties. I think that's a really realistic, achievable goal for 2019. I think we'll surpass it. I think. Goal 3 would be profit, like to consistently every month gain profit. And then these are the 3 that Eugene or William has set for me as property manager. To talk to more clients, to handle maintenance a bit more better in experience, because to follow those procedures, well, like maintenance, there's a lot of procedures to go through. So like reporting issues from tenants, then identifying the issue, and then either contact the whoever, owner, developers, whoever. And build contractor network. So at the moment, I already found a very trustworthy, actually 2 trustworthy contractors, like actually 3 actually. So it's George, Nathan, and a new guy called James that I found around Chinatown. Very reasonable price, I think. He fixed all of Soho Square issues. Very well. He's very good.
That's the guy with Bullion Court, right?
Bullion Court. Yes. He's a very good guy. Yeah, very good. He charges less, and he also questioned me why your contractors charge so much. He's a very genuine, humble guy. And then third one, I'm nearly done anyway. Arlo qualification. I'll be finishing that in Q1. Woo!
That's Q1 2019.
Yeah,
Because
Q1.
you told me you were going to do it Q1 2018 last
Do you
year.
remember?
Oh,
Yeah, do you remember we had
There
a
was some
bet on this?
complications that arose.
Last
I
Christmas
just want to make sure I got
party.
the right Q1.
Last Christmas party, we had a bet on this. Do you remember?
Yeah,
he
we
had
did.
to buy us all dinner.
That's alright, look.
If we didn't
No,
pass.
but the point is, he set the goal,
They
right?
set the goal.
Our
We
job
lost.
is to try and help him achieve the goal. Not
He's got it in writing now. So you have to-
now we've all
I
seen
think-
you say it.
He's recording it. He's recording it.
Yeah,
We
I'm actually
recorded
recording
Q1
Q1
2019.
I'm almost fine anyway, so it's fine.
What Q1 2019?
Yeah.
His Arla.
His Arla.
He'll have it.
Well, he said the last year didn't.
Yeah.
It's delayed for a year, it's alright.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, switch it off, switch it off.
What did you put?
What?
Okay. So
Yeah.
I got dominance
Yeah.
as my this profile as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was 46% dominance, and the next one was steadiness, 28%, and then influence 20%, and the last one was compliance.
No, I can't believe that.
No way,
You are
compliance should be
compliant.
There should be
second.
like
I think you should-
18% compliance.
Kings.
That's a good issue.
Compliance.
That's good because
AJ, you're supposed to do it not after drinking.
no, actually, because I thought we were going to talk about this last Friday when we were, or last Thursday when we were here. So I did it while Shannon and Jean were having a 3-3-3. So I did it right then. Yeah. So it wasn't, you know. I was expecting to be dominant and influence mainly, but yeah, I didn't expect that compliance would be so as low as it was here. But I think that's kind of interesting, and listening to what all of you have said as well, it's been really quite useful, I think, this whole exercise, because I think sometimes you can, there's parts of you that are like, that you're naturally good, you know, that your natural instinct is, but then there's other attributes that you come and you bring towards a teamwork or a project that you maybe purposefully put on, or not put on, but you purposely emphasize more because you want to fit in better with the team. If you come with 100% dominance, you don't want to fit in with the team, so you have to, like William says, you have to sometimes sort of, you know, use a bit more of the other aspects that you have to make sure that you fit in with the team. So I think, yeah, I wasn't too surprised with this. So anyway, so the first thing is, so what do I take away from this? What do I, you know, understand by this? So it says you'll respond to the challenges in a practical, realistic, and enthusiastic manner. Yeah, so I would just say that I'm a very practical person. I don't like, in terms of what we do here, you know, we're here to try and make money, we're here to try and service our clients, we're here to try and service our guests, our owners, and it's practical, like it's very unforgiving. You're either doing it right or you're doing it wrong. You know, people aren't going to be, it's customer service, right? And I think I've got that mindset, so I think I agree with that, I understand that. Realistic, again, realistic is the same thing. You know, you can't just be sort of telling stories and not delivering. So I think that's what I understand by that. Enthusiastic manner, yeah, again, customer service, you want to be, you know, believe in what your product is. You know, we have Raya, we have our experience, we have our law experience, we have a marketing experience. Everything that we have that we're bringing to the clients and to the owners and to the guests, so B2B or B2C, we are enthusiastic about it because if you don't believe it, no one else will. Fact-oriented person, so this probably won't surprise a lot of you because I think what my understanding about that is that you want to get to, like Jean says, I've got a bit of that as well, get to the bottom line of what's the actual, what situation, if someone's going to complain or there's this problem, what are the facts, not what are the feelings, but what are the actual facts? We have to work with the facts, so what is the amount of clicks we're getting every month, or what is the amount of leads we're getting, or you know, what is the valuation of that property, or what's that going to cost us if we subcontract out that particular service. So fact-oriented. Based on solid information. Assertive, self-sufficient, and individualistic. So by that, I understand to mean, you know, again, assertive, that when there's always going to be like a 52%, 48%, there's never going to be a 100% right decision to make. There's always going to be some points to do the other thing or to do this thing. There's always going to be some reasons to take this option or that option. But at the end of the day, you have to be assertive because if you want to try and direct, you know, a team or try and get, as a team, get something done, you have to be assertive. Self-sufficient. If someone's not giving it to you because they're too busy or they are, you know, we're quite a small team, so everyone pitches in to help each other. You know, we're not a big corporate company where there's one person doing just admin or a whole team doing just marketing. We all sort of, we're online, we're sort of, you know, always chatting to each other. So if someone can't give it to you, you try and get it. So I think that's what that means. individualistic, it's kind of similar. People have this, this one I thought was quite a good way to describe what I try to aim for. I don't think I've achieved it completely yet, but people are likely to perceive you as being rational and creative at the same time. So I remember William sort of told me once that I'm the person that's very, very, like you said, you're jumped at compliance, I'll be 100% compliant. I'm all about procedures, I'm all about do it this way, don't do it that way. I actually think, well, what I try to be, maybe I'm not doing it enough, is that I try to be creative with it. So with some people, with some guests and some owners, like Frankie said, you have to talk in a certain way. With some members of the team, you have to talk in a certain way. When I'm talking to Jean, I talk in a certain way. When I'm talking to Frankie, I talk a certain way, or to William, or to Maria, or to Lydia, for example. And obviously we're an international team, and it's going to get more international. Literally, like the English words that you use, I know I use sometimes naturally quite long words if I'm talking to myself, but I have to change that to talk to different people because it's not going to work otherwise. So you have to be creative with it. You have to be quite creative with it and how you write emails. Not every email can be professional.
Can I just say one thing on that?
Yeah.
I think all communication can be done within 15 words. You need to come down to 15 words. He needs to come up to 15 words. And
Who, what, Frank?
That is so true.
Frankie needs to come up to 15 words. He needs to come down to 15 words. And
Frankie's
then
average is 5.
He's
Very
also
good
adding, you know, back
team
already.
communication on a different way. So my challenge to you both this year will be, if you're going to say anything, can you say it within 15 words? That's your limit.
Yeah.
What's the word limit?
That's
So,
right.
with the 51
That's
minutes
a
right
task.
now, with the 51 minutes right now, you know that's not true because, for example, when you explain things like with Raya
As a general,
or an
it's
update,
not always
you are
general.
exactly.
But-
Well, you said all the communication, so that itself is quite wrong, right?
That's
Yeah.
why.
You're right.
That's why
absolutely
he only
right.
used one word because
Yeah.
he just said YouTube links.
Yeah.
There's no spaces there. There's only one word.
Yeah,
Hold on.
exactly.
But as a benchmark.
Yeah, but
He
the
gets,
point
he
is,
gets
yeah,
that
you're right.
on Daily Mail
Yeah, but-
to tell us a long description. He
Exactly,
gets it,
yeah.
really.
But yeah, sometimes with a client, when they're sort of on WhatsApp and they've got questions like Kim, for example, if you flood them with information, well, here's 6 different ways that I'm adding value, they're like, oh, okay, you know, and they'll sort of be, you know, so sometimes you have to do that, and sometimes you have to say very short and sharp,
Oh, yeah,
like,
there's a place for it.
there are space for it. So that's why I think that's what I understand by creative. So that was my point there. So from that, what do I understand to be my 3 strengths and 3 improvements based on this profile? So I would say that strengths, so it's these things that I've worked on and I've made a lot of progress this year. I would say is that attending to different teams and not siloing. So like trying to work with what's so funny.
It's just before you say like, I'll try to use more use big word, and then it's like, as long as I understand that word, I'll show you. That's it.
I don't even know how silent it is.
I'll show you. I got a typo.
I don't know the meaning of silence.
Well, that's why I'm here to explain it to you, right? So that's
Only in 15 words. Only in 15 words.
siloing means putting in buckets. Putting in one bucket, like one bucket of like, oh, just maintenance, one bucket of just letting, they don't talk to each other. That's what siloing is, right?
Why
That's
did you
just
say
words.
attending a different team, not putting it in buckets?
That's more words. That's more words, though, right?
More words. That's the point.
At least we understand.
But now, what if
AJ, you have to understand the average level here.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's always a place for different kinds of language.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know, a guest could use that tomorrow, trying to be very smart with us.
Yes.
A client could use that tomorrow, trying to be very smart with us.
So
But the strength is
what
in
we're
our
saying is
team.
here,
Yeah.
siloing is too big a word for these.
Yeah.
William's
They understand it.
crying. William is actually
Okay.
crying.
I understand it. He doesn't understand it. It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah. So
Let
but-
AJ finish, please.
Yeah, let me finish. So being creative means that you can use different words when you want to be using different words. If it doesn't get through, you find a creative way to change it. And that's what the previous slide was about, that's the point there. So basically, working with different teams. So there's a lot, as the company's growing, we've got a lot more staff coming on, and they've got different roles. It's not just lettings and sort of, you know, the management and then property management as well. There's people who are doing specialist sort of legal stuff, or with marketing, or with the tech side of it, with Raya, trying to use the coding and the software behind it to get the service and the operation we want to actually, you know, put into practice. So working with the different teams and sort of trying to keep all of those balanced and working like a good, well-oiled machine, because if one team's doing something and another team's doing something else, we sort of miss each other. We're not delivering like, because the client doesn't care about different teams. The client cares about, am I getting delivered this service in a good way? Whether they're a tenant, yeah, an outcome, or whether a guest or an owner. negative energy, diffusing that, just trying to get rid of it within the team and without. So I think we as a team, okay, this is a strength in that I've contributed to this happening in the team. I think everyone's done this. A year ago, Frankie mentioned this, we had a lot of, some negative energy, I would say, like there would be problems that come up and we sort of get into a tension between each other. But now, and then, you know, there was a lot of sort of misunderstanding, communication, some blame as well. But we've changed that. It's a much more positive place to work now, like actually in the office, on phone calls, things like that. It's actually positive. So we're actually together. We trust each other more than what a client may say about another member of the team, and that's quite good. And I'm not saying that's only my strength, but that's one of the things that I've improved on as well, because I was also being negative. For example, at one point I just sort of stopped using Hangouts for certain types of communication because like it was just getting too negative and too, you know, it wasn't really productive. But we changed that. The third thing, debugging and training of like, you know, getting people onto different types of how to use Streak, how to use Red, AJ, where do I find this? Maria's come on board, or like Jazz has come on board, or you know, Lydia's come on board, and they need to know, you know, and Max, you know, Max in the next week, he doesn't know about Streak or, you know, Rare or, you know, how we use Google Drive or, you know, Zapier or Firetext, automated texting or calling or anything like that. But to try and summarize with the right language for that person, how to understand it. Because, you know, like, for example, Heidi, for example, she doesn't use Streak directly, but she'll need to understand when Rare is maybe trying to contact her in the future. When Rare is trying to help her with, here's the task to do, or here's the job, or here's where the keys are. So we need to try and get that. So I think we made some progress on that, and I tried to help with that. Another thing is streamlining and foolproofing. So again, I think Frankie's helped a lot with this unintentionally, because when you are trying to like do it quickly, because there is that trade-off between having the process and then doing it straight away. Like William said, like you have to try and, you know, I want it done now. Even if it takes an hour, I want it done now. But sometimes that means that 3 months down the line, when there's a deposit dispute, we don't have the data, we don't have the audit trail, we don't have the emails, we don't have the whatever. So streamlining it, so getting that balance between not pissing off basically the people who are on site. And I've been to properties myself. I know when like what works, what doesn't when you're trying to take photos or whatever, to record it for later on in case something happens later on where we need it. But so streamline means, you know, try and get it as fast as possible, but also foolproofing, so we don't miss things. We don't sort of, you know, oh, we've gone to a property, but there was a key there, and you know, we may have missed the key tag. Yeah, we may have missed to tag the key. So how do we try and make the whole team understand that? So 3 improvements, I think. So definitely, this is the more important thing that I'd like to focus on. So injecting enthusiasm for a project or a task without having need from backup from Gene. I thought this was quite important, where we're introducing something new, like a new process, and there's going to be a lot of processes coming in, unfortunately. But how to explain that, how to sort of tell you as, you know, Heidi or Frankie or whoever it is, or Jason, how can it help you in your daily life, in your actual day-to-day tasks? How is that useful for you? If that's a project, if it's a new feature of Raya, if it's a new, you know, here's we're going to tag keys now, we're going to have them in different locations. Whatever we're doing, how do we actually understand that within the team and explain that better? So I think that's a challenge that I need to improve on, because at the moment people have been doing it because, oh, I have to do this, so well, you know, I'll do it, but not really believing that it will help them. So try and explain that to people without having, you know, sort of Gene having to come in and sort of then having to re-emphasize it, because one of the other things is I want to work to buy back time. Well, I put Charlene here because I think she does a lot sort of in different parts of the company.
Yeah, she does
but really,
at the moment.
but really, it's also, you know, it's also Frankie and Shannon and William as well, because we want to try and make. We were talking to Maxie about this earlier on, where the human labor hours of like talking on the phone or face to face, out of viewing, those should be the value-added things where we know we're going to close or know we're going to actually deliver what we want to do. All of the other menial stuff should be done by Raya. All of the other auditing, all of the foolproofing, all of the recording of photos and emails and who said what to what should all be done by Raya, we think. So you know, Charlie's feeling overwhelmed in many cases, I felt, and I want to try, and I think there's things that I can do to help her do that, and have that team in Malaysia be more focused on legal and sort of partnerships, and again, accounts. So there's a lot more we can automate in accounts we really need to do. Time management, which I think, again, so reducing delays on delivering things, especially for William and Frankie. I find that if I say I'm going to do something, 20 other things I say yes to, and actually I end up not being able to deliver things that actually are, well, we do when some guests are moving in or things like that, but it just gets delayed, it gets pushed back. And because I'm, kind of in a role where I'm looking at the lettings team, looking at the property management team, I'm also looking at, the tech side of things as well. I can say yes to a lot of things, but actually I need to manage that properly and get the priorities properly. And Gene said as well, he's a blue sky kind of thinker. He's throwing a lot of things at me. Our project pipeline is a lot. There's so much we can do, like in marketing, Maria, we discussed in the past couple of weeks. There's a lot we can do, but what are the priorities for the team? Ultimately, we need to be happy as a team together, feel that all of our priorities are being serviced, and then we can then prioritize things for the owners and guests, and then get good feedback from them. So those are the 3 improvements. So going on to the personal goals and company goals. So my 3 personal goals are. So I'm not sure. Again, a lot of you don't know much about me. That what I do outside of work, and this is part one of the aims of this day is to aim, to sort of learn more about what we each do on our personal goals. So I think that was a good idea by Gene actually to ask us to do this. So I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for this past year basically. Very, very slowly, and I want to get a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's actually behind Ravensmead. It's in Stamford Brook, and I was there this morning. That's why I was
by the station.
by the station. Yeah,
I saw
Wait,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's why you said where to pick you up.
That's so I was there. So I go in the mornings. There's the 8 to 9 or 8 to 9:30 session.
You should just tell me to pick you up.
Well,
it's because of the
Well
leader.
done.
Well, I said, the thing is, I was coming by bus, and I was going to walk down the pedestrian entrance, but it was closed. The gate's closed there, and the spa staff said, "Oh, we're doing some works," and we just got to change the sign. So yeah, I had to walk all the way around Park Road. Anyway, so training blue belt in Brazilian, I do like 3-4 hours of that a week.
Oh.
4 hours a week.
Yeah.
Well done, AJ. That's wicked.
So that's my target. I'm not achieved yet. That's my
Don't
target.
upset him next time.
Yeah, he can jiu-jitsu your ass.
Okay, so that's my
Or
goal.
find one again.
So that's by next year. So at some point next year.
Okay, so for now you can still mess up.
Okay, yeah. So quickly, I don't want to take too long here, but I know it's quite late for Sharon. My other goal is a video chat with my nephews and nieces at least once a week, get closer to them, guide them. They're coming to 10, 11, 12 years old. I met a lot of them when I went to India for the wedding, as some of you know. And I've been neglecting a lot of that because, with community work, which I do a lot, which some of you know about, and also this as well, being available all the time, things like that, working weekends, for RLF as well. The personal life gets neglected, and especially with my cousins and other, relatives who do need some more of my attention. I want to do that. Increase meditation time and discipline. So I'm a morning person. I was
5 to 6 a.m.
Before I did
Mad
this,
man.
before I joined the dojo this year, I was just at home sort of doing yoga and stuff at home early on in the day. But I want to meditate using that time, and now I'm going to this in the evening, things like that, and also sometimes in the mornings. So I want to have an hour of meditation basically because I'm a spiritual person and I want to deal with a lot of how do you control your emotions, how do you remain focused. A lot of you know that I fast. I only eat 1 hour every day. 23 hours I fast, 1 hour I eat. So it kind of fits in with that. Anyway, so that's
I
me.
feel like you should add another personal goal, sleep more. Sleep
Uh,
is great.
well, yeah. No, I get a good 6 hours. Yeah.
A good 6 minimum 8.
I get a good what? You can see. It's a good. Anyway, company goals. I can sleep when I'm done. Company goals. So the first thing is, again, on that subject of buying back time, I think buying back time really for me, I feel a lot, it's just when people interact with us. It's when guests interact with us, check in, check out, and maintenance. And it's on Gene as well, web form 2.0, hopefully with Maxi's help and also with my time more now that...
What are we on at the moment? 1.1.
Huh? 1.
Oh,
1.1 or 1.2.
1.1. So
Basically.
another 7.
Yeah, so check-ins, check-outs, bills, where do I get my FBP, how do I check my meters, all of that kind of thing. We're taking up all of the team's time, to sort of like this morning with the Brickhill, or yesterday with Brickhill Lane, or wherever that property was. A lot of this, it won't end, obviously, they'll still be able to call us, but we were to direct them to this and be more confident in this, because I don't think we believe enough in our form yet, and I don't believe in it either, because there's a lot more to be improved on. Once we do that, by end of February 20, I want to be specific about the goals, so I set a target date for it. And again, buy back more time for Charlene and Frankie, so submitting bills, utility bills, things like that. Why take up all of this menial time when they could be doing value-added time, showing a client how much they know about the UK property market, or law, or legislation, for example, and getting all of the good feedback and getting more accounts signed over to us. Goal number 2, Owner's street pipeline, so I think we've got street is quite good, functioning well okay now, gas, properties, maintenance, that's okay, but owners is really missing, and Sharon raised this point as well, we were talking about this earlier on this week, owners, that process, the workflow of getting owners on board, William's going to be getting in a lot more agencies, partnerships, and then we need a very quick, like Jean said, who are you, what's your address, lawyers, whatever, where's the keys, and your bank account details, pretty much, and then we take the rest from there. But we have to make sure that these two, the back end of it, picks up there as well, right? And I'm thinking hopefully by March 2018, we'll at least have all of the owners' data in, and having a functioning owners pipeline by then.
Wait, what, 2018?
Sorry, 2019, typo. 2 maintenance management subcontractors in place for 2019. So this is another thing where we reduce all of that, but still, regardless, we'll have to deal with some maintenance issues. Some minority of issues will come our way, like Hyde House, for example. So Adelaide Jones or some other more qualified, legally qualified or chart surveyors or whatever, can we get them in place to be able to subcontract out to them on a case-by-case basis, maybe like £10 an hour, something like that, to buy back more time. So you see that the running thread through all of this is that I want to be able to help all of the other teams and all of the other people achieve their company goals. That's what a bracket here should have been. Allow other people to achieve their company goals, the rest of the team. So that's what all of this is about. So you see the running thread through all of this is trying to enable that to happen. So one of the ideas that I have, or the goals is 2 more, so maybe Adelaide Jones, we've already got in place, and 1 more by the end of next month, basically. So there will be people who will be able to come in for a Hive House, for an insurance, for a fire, something really serious, or something that we don't want to spend a long time on, like a Copenhagen court leak. We'll just give it to them, basically, and justify that to the owners by saying they're the experts, right? We've got the law and the experts, it's okay, but we advise you to go to them, and here's the cost for that. So we're doing a lot more than we've been paid for at the moment. Just getting that service, and getting that price structure right as well. So that's my last company goal.
Great, thank you.